Hello, hello, hello. Everybody hear me okay? Can everybody
Yeah,
hear me?
Tom, we can hear you, Tom.
Well, I just need to know because, I'm broadcasting from a remote location. I'm with the fine Fred here today on a one-on-one. He's had a beautiful day. He's learned so much and we got more to go. But, one thing about it, we were just talking, he just finished that 2-day conference and we were just talking about the fact that, I'd given him a call. I knew he was going to be here on one-on-one. And I was telling him, I said, this intel is something you got to have. And anyway, if you look at intel, we'll talk about that. But I'm glad. Let me just ask everybody here, okay? Who has intel in their account? Because I'm about to criticize some people if they don't have it. Laura's got it. Laura's coming back for another class. Peg, David's got it. Yeah, that's great. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Intel's turned that corner. We're looking at what 93.52, so heading up towards that 100 area, and we know what happens if it gets there, Tom.
Well, it's not this just heading there. Remember where I said the new target was 150 next year. And I think that's the important thing. And it makes me happy. It makes me happy when people listen, okay? Because I just don't throw these things out there just to be fancy. I throw it out there for you to make money, and you ought to make some money. And if you're listening to me, you're making money. And that's the only thing I can say for sure because I've talked to enough of you that do listen that are making a lot of money. And so we come every day at 11 o'clock. And today we got a great thing that Jonathan's going to go through with Jonathan and Chuck's going to go through with you. But I'm going to hang in here for a little bit. But I just know it's so funny that people are afraid of their own shadow. And, and here's what you got to think about it. If you're trading, maybe you do a one or two lot, but if you're trading with what I give you, you got to leverage it up because the odds are in your favor if you listen to what I'm telling you. And the numbers prove that out if you go check the numbers. So, you got to think about when you're trading with me, you got experience of 40 plus years. That makes a big difference. Okay. And we think that's good. So, uh, we're going to go through it. Let's go through it real quick. Uh, Chuck, if you want to go through some of this and then I'll come back on, or how we're going to do this.
Yeah, I'll go through a little bit here and bring you in for the opinion part. But
Okay.
real quick, I do want to say that, asking about where do you get this information? If you're on Telegram, you saw Tom's message this morning. He's been talking about Intel for a few weeks now. But this morning, Intel was at about 86, a little bit above $86. They are at 93.52 right now. And 2 hours before the opening bell on T-Buzz TV, which is available at dtitrader.com/telegram, Tom was telling people about Intel. So this is not like this is what we told you back then. This is you have a big move today. There was a call this morning. Make sure you pay attention. dtitrader.com/telegram. And while we're at it, join Tom Busby's free YouTube, dtitrader.com/YouTube. Click like and subscribe. You got to click that bell so that you know we're going in there. We are live on YouTube right now, so welcome into everybody over there. Uh, Make sure you like and subscribe. Say good morning in the chat if you got a second, and we'll keep moving here. Now, we are going to be talking about markets as we already have done with Intel. You need to remember there is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. You and you alone will be responsible for the trading decisions you make. Always consider risk and, of course, your personal financial situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Now, we got a lot of news. Crude opened at 99.71. I put the high up there at 105.43. They've actually, or excuse me, 105.35. They've now been up to 105.43. So crude pushing up a little bit. New high higher than the new high that I posted just a few minutes ago. This week, we've got 2 days left in April. The big news, I think, probably one of the things that sort of pushed the broader market up a little bit today. Senate Banking Committee vote 13 to 11 to forward to the full Senate. We posted that in TNT as it happened. We've got the FOMC later today, expected to be no change. We've got earnings after the bell, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Google. If you want to check out the specs on those earnings, make sure you go to earningswhispers.com. Great website to track that down. Thursday morning, core PCE and advanced GDP. The prior read on core PCE was 3.0. They're expected to come in a little bit higher, so keep that number in mind. So, Tom, your opinion? We've got a lot going on here with the market, and not just Intel, but the broader market kind of getting a little bit of a bump up, though they do seem to be settling a little bit right now. S&P at 7160. That crude market pushing to new highs, and all eyes focused now on the Fed. So, have you got any comments you want to make on that side? I see Tom is actively teaching, so we're gonna see if we can interrupt him for the my opinion section. And looks like he might be focused on the market right now. So let's go ahead and move through here. I want to tell you about some of the trades that have been done January through April. 120 closed trades, 95 winners, 24 losers, 1 break even, 79% accuracy. And I can tell you that some of the active trades at the moment, that accuracy might peak up a little bit. We'll see how this plays out. Now, we do have the annual Sawgrass Workshop coming up May 31st through June 2nd. Looking forward to that. The team here with Jeff, Tom, and Jonathan, and I'll be joining them. We'll see if we can get an updated picture after that Sawgrass meeting coming up. What's covered? Sunday night meet and greet, Monday night reception. So we're going to be live trading in future stocks and options, talking about how to use probabilities to take bigger gains and smaller losses, how each day offers an opportunity, and 10 questions you should ask yourself before entering a trade, because you always want to do your due diligence. How to find stock opportunities each day of the week, and show you how to establish a solid plan that helps you achieve your goals each week in the market. Day one, start with Sunday night meet and greet, cocktails and appetizers, plus a little plan for the week. And most of you have been following along with Tom online. You know this. When we can, Sunday night, we're going to do a weekly planning session, and we'll do that live with the class. So you get to be in the audience. If you've got questions, be sure to bring them with you. Day two, we get breakfast early in the morning, get together with strategy, education, and live trading, take a little lunch break, come back to the market. And then Monday night, VIP cocktail reception and dinner. And then, of course, day three, you get breakfast, more live trading, more food, and more live trading. So it should be a great time. The venue is at TPC Sawgrass. That's the Players Championship course at Sawgrass, which is just south of Jacksonville, Florida. May 31st through June 2nd, $9.97. Says early bird special. Really, this should be a late bird special. If there are seats available, call 904-706-3532 or go to dtitrader.com/sawgrass. Hope to see you guys there. Now, I want to tell you about Tom's books, The Roadmap to the Markets, plus the trilogy, all available at Amazon.com. You can go to dtitrader.com/WDTG to listen to a complimentary portion of the audio version of Winning the Day Trading Game. Online public resources. Now, I got a little added picture I wanted to throw this in, but we've got Forex Factory and Econo Day. Those are going to be big sites to look at tomorrow morning with the early news coming out. Earningswhispers.com, important during earnings season, especially after the bell today. And then the exchange sites, CME Group, NYSE, and Eurex. And I've taken a screenshot from the CME Fed Watch tool looking at probabilities. And this is available at CME Fed Watch at the CME CMEgroup.com Fed Watch tool. So these probabilities, what are the probabilities of a rate hike? Well, at this meeting this afternoon, 100% staying at the current rate. And it doesn't look very likely we're going to get a rate hike in the near future. Important to note, though, these probabilities will be changing with market conditions. So really, when you're looking at these numbers, I'd look at the first three lines. After that, it gets sketchy. Everything does change a lot over the course of 3 months. So just be prepared for that. But you can effectively see here that there is unlikely to be any change to rates, not just at this meeting, but also at the next. So one of those things to keep an eye on. And this is public resources. And by the way, there are ways to take advantage of that. We'll get to those a little bit later. So more resources over at DTI. We've got the white paper booklets, dtitrader.com/WP. We have, let's see, I want to keep up with things here. So the YouTube page, which we've got a whole bunch of people on right now. Good to see you guys over there, dtitrader.com/YouTube. Important terms to know, Tom's penalty tape. Got the BNN interview, and of course, Options EDU, the options education resource site at dtitrader.com/options edu. I want to encourage everybody to go to that site, learn a little bit about how we're looking at options, the types of trades that you could look to do. Basically, how do you work a spread? If you're not familiar with spreads and options, you want to go ahead and go to options edu, dtitrader.com/options edu. April FTD stocks. We're going to click in there and take a look at those FTD stocks. And let's see what we got going on. Change that percentage right there. So the E-mini S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow all still showing long. From the beginning of April, that's obviously going to be going on. One of the things to keep an eye on as we come down this list, you look at TLT actually on the short side, but most of these markets painting long. There are a few that are pulling back from that. We've got some shorts right in here. This is what is this? PAS, NEM, Hecla. So this gold mining type stocks, they've hit a little bit of a pullback, and that probably means you might have a little bit more money coming into the broader market. So we'll see how that plays out. Right in here, look at Intel, 92.23 on that last update. Jonathan posted that up at 13 minutes after, so that was about 3 minutes ago. And yeah, so they pulled back a little bit, 92.62 right now, but pulling back from that 93.52 high. But man, Intel is having a great morning. We'll see if that continues. CoreWeave, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft. These four all reporting earnings after the bell today. Want to keep a close eye on those, but as you can see, they're all well above the FTD high. So things are looking pretty good for those stocks. We'll see if the forward guidance comes out the same. But you got to be thinking a little bit bullish going in. We are going to trade what we see, though, not just what you expect, but what actually occurs. Price is always king. Pay attention to it as we move through. And coming down the list, seeing a little bit more shorts popping up as the market sort of resettles, maybe some profit taking towards the end of the month. As we mentioned at the start of the news part, there's really only 2 days left in the market. And at this point, only a day and a half, as we're about halfway through today's trading day. All right, let's get back to our slides.
Yeah, Chuck, I'll take over from here too. And I think Tom's going to join us. Tom, are you listening in? Or are you speaking to Fred there?
Yeah, I'm listening in. I was just listening, listening. Chuck did a fantastic job. Jonathan, really, I love the slides. John has become a design specialist for slides. I get so turned on looking at these slides. I mean, real, I just can't talk about it enough. So, Jonathan, why don't you do the talking and I'll just chime in when I got something to add.
Yeah, real quick, Tom, I don't want to, as long as I have your focus, we kind of skipped past your opinion of the market today. I didn't know if you wanted to give that.
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to tell you. I think that the market is trying to have an up day. If you look at it, it ran into some selling up here at this time of day. I think we're going to have to wait to RB, just based on what I'm looking at anyway, Jonathan. I think we got to wait to RB4, which is 130 to 2, to get a real direction. We're below my pivot number I gave everybody this morning, and it had that resistance up there, that number I gave you yesterday, which was 40 or 71, 70, 71, 71 yesterday. It's had resistance up there. But I've been so caught up in, you know what, Intel, it's been sort of a, you know, in a zone of Intel, I guess. I got a whole bunch of things to talk about. Jonathan, I just made an announcement today. Had a lot of people calling me, thanking me, changing their life and all that with the Intel trade, you know, going from negative to positive, all that stuff. Got a bunch of people sending me love letters, but I'll tell you, I said, look, let's meet Friday, give a special invitation since you listened to me on Intel. They can come Friday, Jonathan, at that 10 o'clock meeting. Okay. And
Okay, yeah, great. That's
they need
awesome.
to, if you haven't sent a love letter to Jonathan, don't expect to get an invitation, but this is for people that really appreciate the fact. I mean, we're talking about some serious money here. I want to know how much we've helped you by your listening. I get a kick out of that. You know, I'm not asking for a percentage of what you made, but it would be nice if you want to give me a Christmas present. But other than that, folks, this thing has been huge. You knew it if you listed it off from 60, and it's not over. We got a lot more journey on Intel. I'll tell you where that's going to go this Friday, and that's my opinion. General market itself, with the extended blockade, I really think people are starting to consider it on the back burner. I think the real surprise, folks, is going to become we'll usher out the worst Fed chairman, one of the worst. There's two. I still think Greenspan was pretty bad, but one of the worst Fed chairmen we had. Can you imagine having a good Fed chairman, what the economy's going to do? I mean, they have a big play in that. And I think this market's going to be set like a launch. You got SpaceX coming in June. You just got a lot of opportunity here if you want to take advantage of it. And I think you do by being here. So that's my opinion. A little lengthy, but that's my opinion. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it too. You don't have to be sad and upset. You can really, you know, put your nose to the grindstone and really grow your assets, which I know you need because expenses are higher. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. That's awesome to hear everybody emailing you with their success and kind of a second chance here. Send a love letter to Rowe at DTI Trader, ROWE at DTITrader.com, and we'll see you Friday morning. Let me go ahead and mute Tom up there so he can talk to Fred as needed. And let's get back down to today's lesson. Making money with the 10 tickers. Yesterday we talked about making money with the Magic 5 from TNT. Let's convert that over to the 10 tickers for the week. Now we do want to review kind of today's trading trade. Number one, we'll review the key takeaways from yesterday, including the bonus insights that I mentioned I would get on the slides. So thanks for tuning in today. We got those bonus insights from Tom on the slides. We're going to apply it to the 10 tickers. We'll kind of check out what the 10 tickers were and maybe go to the live market, see what's happened this week. Going to look at, of course, some highlights on Intel. There's been many. And then we'll talk some about Tom's TNT program. So let's dig in here. Some key points from yesterday's train and trade. Remember yesterday we talked about when you get the Magic 5, when you get the 10 tickers every day for the Magic 5 or every week for the 10 tickers. Going to go ahead and set an alert. You know, start early. On Sunday night, when Tom posts his 10 tickers, take a snapshot of it and get the slides, whatever you got to do to get those trigger prices and go to your alert, your trading platform, and set the set the tickers. I will do that every single week, and at the end of the week, if nothing goes off, to keep things less cluttered, I usually just delete the alerts from the week because Tom's going to have 10 fresh alerts for the next week. All right, better opportunities for the next week. So make sure you set your alerts on your platform. We showed you how to set those alerts during yesterday's training trade. So if you need to review that, go to dtitrader.com/YouTube and check the live tab. Don't check the videos tab, check the live tab. Right? That's where all the recordings are stored. Step 2 of the checklist is you got to know what strategy you're going to use. All right. And Tom's bonus insights were critically important to this step. We'll get to that in a minute. But if you're trading options, long options, typically Tom will trade a delta 10 up to delta 50. That's very standard. Somewhere in the 10 to 50 delta range is what Tom's doing. And he gave some very insightful notes on that, which again, we'll review in just a minute. Step 3, how to enter. It's not just above trigger, but it's got to be above the most recent reference bar, and it's got to be at a good time. So don't get in right before a new reference bar starts. Like it's 11:24 right now. What happened in 6 minutes? In 6 minutes, we have a brand new reference bar. So don't go getting trigger happy with your mouse hand on, 6 minutes, 5 minutes before the reference bar. Wait for that reference bar to get going and finished. Step number 4, how to determine where we're wrong. If we're getting long above the reference bar, the simplest, all bets off, is below the reference bar. Tom gave some more insights to that as well. Again, we'll get into those in just a minute. Finally, step 5, setting targets with options. We usually keep it simple here. At DTI, options are very, very short term in nature. So if you're looking at a 3 T's of trading, layering your targets with options, we usually go 10 to 30% on the first portion, 40 to 60 on the second, and then hopefully 80% or above if something's paying us real nicely. Any questions on the review from yesterday? 5-step checklist on the art of making money. All right, here are the bonus insights. And this, take a snapshot of this. This is very important. Using the compass chart and reference bars, just because a stock triggers doesn't mean you automatically jump in. We don't want plungers here in the market. We want to use the controlling reference bar to confirm any kind of triggered move. So what's a controlling reference bar? Well, that's the most recent reference bar. And you're looking for a higher high for going long, right, on a bullish trigger. Or you're looking for a lower low below the most recent reference bar if we're going short on a bearish trigger. So that's very important here. If you use this approach and you're constantly thinking about time of day and reference bars, you're not going to jump in per se, like right now, right before Genesis, right? If you're always thinking about the reference bar, those key times of day, it's going to help you. It's going to help prevent you from jumping in, because everybody makes, we get excited in trading when we get in and make a profit all the time. But remembering those key times will help you from getting in a little too soon. Question in the chat is a higher high on what time frame? Keep this very clear here, Wendy. If we're trading off of reference bars, we're looking at a 30-minute time frame. So we want a higher high off of that reference bar. That's a great question, and I'm glad we were able to review that. Any other questions? All right, now here is kind of in my opinion, one of the biggest insights of the day yesterday was insight number 3 here on this slide. If everything sets up to go higher on your stock, remember a moment ago, we said we don't want to plunge in. And part of that process is referring to the pivot of the day on the S&P. The market, a bullish day has various degrees of bullishness. And this is one thing here to kind of get an idea of how bullish a day is. If the S&P is below pivot, if it's below the pivot while our trigger on a stock goes off, it doesn't necessarily mean you should just not trade it at all. Maybe it means you should take a little bit less aggressive strategy. And Tom mentioned that yesterday. He'll usually do a delta 10 or 20 strategy. And if we're below pivot on the S&P, instead of a more aggressive delta 50. If it's all systems go and you have a really bullish day, maybe a continuation day after Genesis, then Tom usually gets more aggressive. That's where he does his pyramiding. And part of that strategy is the actual strategy itself of a more aggressive delta approach. You have more exposure to the market going up versus when the S&P is below pivot, you want less exposure because there's not all systems go. Any questions of that? I thought that was a very key insight to how Tom thinks about his day-to-day trading. All right, let's go on. The next set of Tom actually gave 2 sets of bonus insights if you go listen to yesterday's recording, but here's the other one. When trading options, as the day goes on, you can move your stop as the day trade pays you, you can start moving your stop. In the morning, if we're going long, might use the low of RB3. But once we get into the afternoon, the market may allow you to move your stop up. So for instance, let's say we get a Genesis bar that has opened and closed above RB3 from the morning, and then we get a higher high, we get a continuation move on that Genesis bar. Well, you don't necessarily have to leave your stop down at RB3. It might be way down there. So move your stop up. And the real key to that is let the market decide where you put your stop and your all bets off. All right. This could be on an intraday basis, really regardless of what time frame you're looking at. In an intraday basis, it can be you have a stock that's moved up. It has a pause period and sets a pause low, or maybe it has a pullback and it sets a new pullback low. Maybe the pullback low is higher than where the previous low you had your stop at was. And once that new higher high is made, now you have the ability to move your stop up. So let the market decide where your stop and your AVO go. All right, 10 tickers for the week. Let's look at the 10 tickers for the week. Here they were on Sunday night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like they were all bullish. And XLU was a little bit different than normal. Tom said probe the market first. And if you're making money, full boat. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. If we're probing the market on Monday, we probe it first, and the second part is to add to it if you're making money. What is the week-to-week process that we use here at DTI? All right. Some people ask, how do we know when we're making money? Well, I would say there's different ways to do that, but one of the more clear ways to do that is what we do here at DTI. We track the market a lot of times on Monday, and then we add to positions or get into new positions on Tuesday if we make a higher high. So let me ask a question. If you probe the market on Monday, if that market makes a higher high over Monday's high on Tuesday, are you making money? If you probe the market on Monday and then that market makes a higher high over Monday's high, you think you're making money on that position? The answer is yes, absolutely. So use those. You can always look at your position and easily tell, are you making money or not? But perhaps a better indicator is getting that confirmation of price in the underlying position. Is it making higher highs?
Jonathan, the reason I put XLU in there, I see a lot of people sitting on cash, and this is a time period that I believe rather than set on cash, like we did when I did the mutual fund I did for people back last year. I said, leave it in SPY, and then we took it out of SPY when we had better use of it. XLU is like a money market fund for me. in the sense that I'm not sitting there in cash. This is a good time to be putting it on because it's a very favorable price. And with utilities, the reason I think utilities will be good is because the interest rates and dividends they pay will match up with a lower interest rate environment. Contrary to what Wall Street thinks, I think interest rates will fall. And because of that, XLU will appreciate. And I've traded XLU for the greater part of 25 years. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but it's a good holding pattern for money just sitting in your account. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? If you made 2% or 3% off that, that's a lot better than getting zero. And you can always take it out of XLU if you got a better deal. You know, that's why I put that in there. And Jonathan's right. You put half of your money in there and you start making money, put the other half in there. Always do the probe and full boat scenario. So I wanted to just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and thank several people who are sending me Intel love letters. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Frank, excuse me. Thanks, John, Todd, Faith, another John, Dan, Wendy. I'll get you added to the invite list for Friday here when we're done today. Thanks for sending those over. Let's go to the live market here and look at some of these 10 tickers for the week. See what's going on with them. XLB, the materials ETF, 5311 is the trigger for higher prices this week, and the high for the week is 5217. So you'll see this happens. Not every ticker is going to trigger, and I don't think we have too many this week. That's part of the week. Now, it's also Fed week. It's not surprising that to happen. Fed week. I know I'm not expecting the interest rates to get moved around today, but Fed week's kind of a strange week sometimes. So no trigger on XLB. That means no action taken. What about XLF? The trigger was 52.55. Got close, made it high of 52.40. That sets up for maybe a nice trade later on. Higher high above that Tuesday high and also above Tom's trigger, but no action yet. Next stock, I'm not familiar with this one, NTRS 175.11. You can see there clearly, no action yet on NTRS. STT. This one did trigger, got up to 155.5 yesterday. I don't know if anybody took that quick trade. Back down to the week open now. We'll see if we can find some support at the week open.
I took the trade. It's a good trade.
Here's one I haven't looked at in a long time, eBay. Haven't used eBay in a while either. 110.55 is the trigger there. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this week. Marriott. Marriott's trigger is 370.55. Definitely not happening this week. Here's a stock, was one of our strongest stocks from our study last week. So keep it on your radar. 58.11 on Schlumberger. Not there yet. QQQ. 667.55. No. SPY 717.55. So the SPY and the QQQ are telling the story of the week. This is the reason why all of these haven't really triggered. When you have the indexes not triggering, chances are most of your stocks are not going to trigger either. Gwendolyn did the quick trade on STT, excuse me. $58.11 SLB. That's, might want to repeat that. Let's go back to the 10 ticker. So that's the 10 tickers from Sunday Planning. Hey, Barbara, thanks for sending in your love letter. This came through to me. Topic number 3 today. Tom will like this one. It is, are you making money on Intel? Type yes into the chat if you're making money on Intel with Tom. There's a good one. Hang on just a second. Peg got over 100% on Delta 10 options for Intel from the Magic 5 this morning. Peg, I mean, that's a gold star right there. S&P's below pivot. So what kind of strategy did Peg go to? Delta 10.
That's exactly why I do it right there. Peg is, when I first talked to Peg, she's new. I said, Peg, I'm going to cut all the noise out. Just listen to me. You'll make money. Peg, is that a true statement since you've been listening to me? You got the roadmap. You bought a few classes. You haven't been here in person yet, but the point is you're making money, correct? And she brought Wendy on board. Wendy's been fantastic with great questions. He's coming to Sawgrass. All right, we'll get to meet Peg.
Let's do a quick review. Here's a trade from the Intel briefing. It was a 80.83 debit call spread in at $1.20, out at $1.65. A good quick 38% return on that position. Turned $1,000 of risk into $380 in profits. The next one, also from the Intel briefing, was a credit put spread. All right, Tom, I was just writing up that notes for Fred there for you. And Fred, I sent that over to you. If you're listening in, I sent those notes over from Tom to you. But this credit put spread was a one wide in at 38 cents, out at 18 this morning for a 32% return on risk.
That's 600 or $700 off those two. Keep going. This is fun.
This was from last week's small class, which we held down there in Ponte Vedra with Tom. It was also a put spread. We actually
Now we're at, hey, Jonathan, now we're at $1,100. So that's 100% plus on $1,000. I like the way you're rolling. Keep it up.
starting to add up. Here's from T-Bus Talking Trade. The debit call spread, 22% there.
That's about 1,400. Just keep going. This is fun.
I like the slides, like you said. Fantastic.
Fred just said your slides were outstanding.
Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, folks, we still got a lot of intel out there, but I'm just trying to show you by demonstrating to you that if you're trading with me, you're not trading as a new trader or inexperienced trader or a dumb trader. You're trading at the best level you can trade by listening. And then you'll make a transition where you'll be setting your own terms and stuff. But during that stage, you're going to build your account. I don't think if somebody was honest and did everything that I've ever sold, they paid for anything if they listened to me. The ones that didn't listen ended up paying. So I always believe in the scholarship approach by giving you trades. I was in front of a group Monday, bunch of people, and a lot of people Jonathan are transitioning to us. Met with somebody last night. They joined us, Ed and Elizabeth. But the point is, I walked into a crowd of unknown people. I knew 20% of them. They were my customers. But I said, hey, if you want to listen, I'll make you some money. I'll make you $800. It's going to cost you $1,000 if you don't listen. Well, Fred took the trade. He was in that audience, and other people took that trade, and they're going to make $1,000 because when I was there, I said, this is a trade I would do. And I call it a Cadillac trade. You didn't have to do it. So it's fun for me to hear from people like that were there. Is anybody here that was there Monday and Tuesday? Anybody here that heard me talk Monday over there? I'm just curious. Anybody here?
Me.
Yeah, Fred's here. Anybody else? Jim was there, okay. Carlos, I remember meeting Carlos. Jim was there, okay. That's a true story, isn't it, Carlos and Jim? See, you got paid for listening.
Yep.
All right. These slides are fantastic.
Yeah, I
Marge, okay.
just got another love letter in from Bob, and I took the moment to showcase that here. Bob says Intel's been a dynamite call. Between owning the shares and the option strategies, I've added over 6,000 to my account. Thank you for your wisdom and your guidance. I've learned so much in the last 3 years, this time being at DTI, and the last 2 weeks, though, he says have been the best. He says, keep it up, Tom. He likes what you're doing here. That was just one love letter that came in. Thanks, Bob, for sending that in. I just got one from Peggy. Thanks, Peggy. Just got one from Laura as well. So good deal. Tom, let's move on to TNT. Today's topic, end of train and trade, is going to be your T-Buzz Talk and Trade program.
How's our ice holding up? Okay.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Tom's Talk and Trade service is really the only service that's right inside Telegram. He can communicate with you directly anytime he wants, and that starts about 5 a.m. in the morning. So if you're an early bird, this is perfect for you. But Tom didn't just talk during the morning. He goes all the way until about 10 o'clock at night. He does sleep, believe it or not. Contrary to popular belief, Tom does get some sleep every once in a while, but he does start very early in the morning, 5 a.m. Eastern time. In other words, pretty much when there's opportunity there, TNT, T-Buzz, and TNT are there. Tom Busby and his TNT program provides actionable opportunities all day long. So let's review a typical day in TNT. This was from this morning. Tom gives a broad snapshot to the market. Tom, you want to say a few words about what you're looking at here?
Yeah, what I try to do when I wake up in the morning is I remember where everything was last night. I just try to look at the market and see what the trends are telling me and where to go, because I got to find, on most days I had to find 5 tickers I'm willing to put money in, and I go through this and it sort of, things start popping up for me. You notice MU was one that had popped up for me, but QQQ had popped up, SPY popped up, and I just look at, it's just me that big picture look when I'm waking up in the morning, having that first cup of coffee.
And speaking of the big picture, part of that is your daily pivot. Today's pivot is 71.85.
Yeah, and so what that's basically telling you is that I said to myself, if we can get above 71.85, then the blockade extension that was announced yesterday is a real positive, and we're going to make some new highs. Well, you can see they push it back up there at that 75 number from yesterday. So we're not there yet, but it's trying to be there.
And I don't know if anyone noticed, but Monday's pivot was 71.85. Today's pivot 71.85. That's 2 days out of 3, 71.85. That makes that a very important level for the rest of the week. Here's your magic 5.
Yeah, Jonathan, let me talk here. Here is the scholarship moment, okay? I told people to buy Intel today. So if you hadn't heard anything I said up to the morning you joined TNT yesterday, the first thing you would have saw, hey, Tom likes Intel. It's in the #1 seat of the 5 stocks. And I said, buy Intel at 87.11. Well, guess what, folks? 87.11 would have put 100 shares. And you could buy it that early in the morning. Once it gets above 87.11, today you didn't have to, or you could buy Delta options like today. This alone would tell you, folks, put some money in your pocket if I got it in the #1 slot. And it's set up perfect. And what is Intel at right now? I haven't checked. Anybody know where Intel is? $93.84. $94.10. That's $700. That's about 3 months.
Mine's going down. I have 93.
Pretty good stuff, huh? All right. Anyway, this is the goal. This is where you go every morning to get those 5 tickers. Then you tie it into the reference bars. Wendy just asked me what my target was. Wendy, write this down. $150 a share. Actually 145, but I'll round it up to 150. Keep going. Keep going, Jonathan. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was just trying to remember when you gave that target. I think it was Sunday night, wasn't it? 150?
Yep.
I was share Sunday night by next year. Now, Tom also posts this into TNT. This is a quick snapshot of some trending analysis out there and some trending news out there. Look for repeated names there. You see Intel several times. 1, 2, twice on the left, Intel. 1, 2, twice on the right, Intel. Intel's a big one. Here's your expected resistance, Tom. 72.25. So if we get above 71.85, you already know where Tom's next resistance level is. About, what is that? About 40 points up from that level, 72.25.
And that's for
Meanwhile,
people in my futures first. I put this in there for people trading futures with me. If we get bullish at a reference bar, that's where I would expect it to go, 72.25. Might as well make money everywhere.
and to the downside, 71.45. So market gets below that, you need to pay attention. 71.45. Here's some breaking insights. Let me read this. At 5:28 this morning, Tom said market looking past Iran. And today marks the end of Jay Powell and one of the worst Fed chairmen in history. Look for a change in investment sentiment with the new Fed chairman. We got people that agree, people that disagree. That's the beauty of the market and I guess politics. But watch treasuries over the next 3 days. Take the bias out of it and just watch the bond market in the next 3 days is what Tom is saying.
Just to let you know that.
Here it is again. Target for ES 72.25. We saw that on this slide here. Tom puts it in writing. Looks possible above 71.85, target 72.25. Then he says, if you don't own Intel, you are not listening. That's kind of part of the presentation today. If you don't own Intel, you are not listening to Tom. Here's a bonus that you get inside TNT. A lot of people don't know what tape reading is when they first come to us at DTI. Most of what we do is tape reading, and part of that is kind of laid out for you in the TNT program with what Chuck does with the reference bars. Hey, Chuck, are you still here? Chuck might be off doing something else, but this is what Chuck does. You can kind of do this. Let's track it real quick. I'll show you how to use this just one simple way. Last night, RB1, the S&P was at 71.72. RB2, the S&P was basically the same at 71.75. And then this morning, 71.63. So you can see price on an open level from the reference bars has stepped down a little bit. All right. Notice that none of these opens are above Tom's pivot either, 71.85. So market's under not a lot of pressure today, but it's certainly not bullish. I think everybody can agree with that. That's just one simple way to use that. You can track the opens. You can also track the highs and lows. You can see here that the highs are stair stepping down, 71.78, 71.76, 71.65. And the Genesis reference bar will be done here momentarily in about 8 minutes. Chuck will post a new one. How about the lows? The lows are stair stepping down too. 71.72, 71.66, 71.49. So these are very simple ways to read the tape here at key times of day, the reference bars. Then Chuck, I don't know if you're able to tune in yet now, but Chuck puts this together in the morning, the DTI Daily Rundown. This is kind of a combination of Chuck's pre-market planner he does the night before, combined with Tom's T-Buzz TV, the update. So Chuck puts together a planner for everybody. You can find it in the roadmap under links. He does that at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then after the overnight markets, Tom gives his thoughts of what happened overnight. He produces this T-Buzz TV video, and Chuck takes all that and produces this new updated DTI Daily Rundown in the morning time. All right, we can't forget about, Tom's giving trades all throughout the night and the morning. During the cash market hours, when we're able to trade stock options, we do send stock option trades that look something like this. This was an example from the 17th of April, a couple of weeks ago. It was on NVIDIA. It was a long call. Expiration was May 22nd. We bought the 2:30 call. Net debit was $1.7075 and target was about 20% higher. That's a standard trade there. Very clearly laid out on the trade ticket. Everybody seems to love these trade tickets because of how easy to read it is. You get that inside TNT. And what is TNT? That's a Telegram channel. Got to be involved with Telegram. Got the S&P pulling down here to 71.45, Tom. But you got to be in Telegram. TNT is it's very simple to use. As long as you have a phone, you can use Telegram. Get involved with TNT. Easy to download. Works just like very similar to like a text message. So everybody text messages, but that's Telegram. So get involved, and what you'll get Tom's insights every day. He trades shares, he trades calls, he trades puts, he trades basically any strategy that you can make money with. He shares it with you all inside TNT. Let's get you involved here. dtoucher.com/TNT, or give us a call 904-706-3532.
Folks, remember to get your email to Jonathan. Join this TNT. It won't cost you a thing. If it does, I'll just refund your money. Okay. I don't have any program like this because I'm directly talking to you, and all you have to do is be a member. So get joined. It'd be for the month of May, and you can let me know how good it was. But we've got some tapes now. I want to thank Wendy for pulling that out of us. The last 2 days, I would review the training trade from yesterday and today, memorize it, write it down, dissect it. It is the key to really maximizing TNT. So y'all have a great day, Jonathan. Great. Probably one of the best presentations I think you put together. I hope they appreciate it, and I hope they join. See ya.
Thanks, Tom. Once again, go to dtoucher.com/TNT. Give us a call at 904-706-3532 if you'd rather talk to us over the phone, and get involved. Don't forget, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tom's live once again for the midweek market update. That's on YouTube, dtoucher.com/YouTube. Now, Adam's going to take over here in a moment and play a stream for T-Buzz Talking Trade so you can learn a little bit more about what TNT is. Adam, if you don't mind, go ahead and taking the Zoom host back, and stopping that YouTube so you can play that stream for us.